Hello, beautiful people. I'm JC, and welcome to Zero to Freedom in association with Tribe to Thrive, the Expression Project, the Consciousness Evolution Summit, and Conscious Publishing House. Right, so today I'm very excited because me and this beautiful lady connected, and immediately I just felt her heart. And she calls herself the Awakened Nurse. Her name's Jenn Evers. She's amazing. She lives in Virginia. She's out there every day being a nurse, but also bringing her brand of awareness, mindfulness, and her knowledge about energy. And this is why I'm really interested to talk to her, because she's working in the medical field, but she's bringing this stuff. And this is what we need. So Jenn prides herself to help transform others' lives through self-love so they can create the life they want to, rather than feeling like they need to escape from it. And that's her words. So I'd like to say a very, very warm welcome to Jenn, the Awakened Nurse. And also I'm going to put all her details and everything, for her page and everything she does. So Jenn, welcome. Thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you.
And also,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
my pleasure.
for Adventures in Humanness too. Sorry, I forgot to say that because this is a podcast and for the video too. So welcome, Jenn. Please tell us a bit about yourself and where your heart and where your passion is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here with you. It has been a pleasure to get to know you across the pond, right? But we're
Yeah.
all connected. So there's no coincidence, right, in the fact that we were brought to each other. So who am I? Well, I'm a nurse, as you said. I am also a nurse educator. So I use my gifts of being a teacher to really help incorporate all the parts of the metaphysical being, because we are not simply physical beings. We are energy. And when we start to understand that, when we start to understand the laws of thermodynamics, that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but all of these patterns, these memories, these experiences that hold an energetic residue that we carry with us is actually the manifestation of how it shows up in the physical dis-ease that so many of us are dealing with. So my mission is really to help people heal from the inside out, because if we're constantly running from those things, if we're constantly trying to escape them, push them down, we're not actually healing from it. And people wonder, why is this happening to me? And it's about sitting with those things, realizing what it is, loving on those parts of ourselves to really be able to heal from it.
And
And
that's the
this is the
thing,
way
Jenn, isn't it?
forward.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. And this is the thing. So everything you've just said there, you're taking in the whole thing. So we are not just physical beings. And this is why it's so important. And this is why we're all so ill, because we don't know how to work ourselves. So like we go and we want to put a load of pills and just suppress. And what you're saying is, like, you're working in this industry. You can see, you know, look, this is how I feel. Me and Jenn have talked, and she's been supporting with my health journey, and she knows what I've been coming up at the wall against, trying to get treatment and diagnostics. Like, I don't take pharmaceuticals. If you do, that's great. But I've just been trying to get diagnostics, and Jenn's been helping me out with that. So she knows the limitations and what's been going on. And obviously she's working in this industry every day. And I just want to know, how is it for you kind of speaking as you do, and being open to the metaphysical, open to energy, understanding this? How is it to work, you know, in, within this very physical Newtonian kind of industry, which is very kind of it's just physical, it's all separate, and, it must be challenging, but that's the challenge, I guess.
Well, we can see anything as a challenge, or we can see it as an opportunity, right? So as I've healed within myself and done the work within myself, what I find is the more these truths that I speak to people, the more actually they're open to it. They know there's something outside of what they've been taught. The issue is the stifling of it from the inside. And so, and not only that, but being given the time, afforded the opportunity to actually work this way with people. People are so conditioned, right, to believe what they believe because other people are going to judge them. They're going to have an opinion. And where does our self-validation come from, right?
Yeah.
Really inside of ourselves, but we've been taught that it's from outside of ourselves. So I would say that the medical field, the people who work in it, at least nurses, I think even physicians, They're open to it, but it's not supported. Because what does that mean for the industry if
Well,
we
yeah.
actually help people heal, right? From
That's
the
the
inside
problem.
out.
That's the thing. And this is what people don't realize, Jenna. So I'm really glad you said that. Because this does work. And when you come to the whole approach, like what you're saying, healing from the inside out and starting to understand that we've held on to trauma that's caused disease. See, when you bring that into this field, it either needs to be a total integration or it's just going to completely dissolve what we have now, because it's all, and this is nothing to do with doctors, nurses, anything. It's just that system is built on separation, Newtonian like separation, just understanding about one thing. So it's bamboozling to bring that other thing in. And when I talk to doctors in hospitals, like I had my crystals in my hospital bed and had my little infinite iodine, my little bottles and stuff, they were like, what's this? What's this? This is dangerous. Why have you got crystals? And it was, I just terrify them when I go into hospital. I don't terrify them. I'm lovely, Jen. It's just they don't seem to.
Well, it challenges them. It challenges them. It's not that you're terrifying, it's your beliefs challenge theirs. Yeah. And when our beliefs challenge other people, they feel triggered and they react from that place, because if I don't understand it with my logical, scientific mind, it doesn't actually work, right? Oh, that's woo-woo. That's
exactly. And it's kind of frightening. It comes across a little bit, because obviously we do know we live in a quantum universe. So it kind of comes across a bit. It's like it's scared, because if you open up to that, then your entire kind of industry and what you've learned is basically needs to be completely reconfigured. And so it's I guess it's like a little bit terrifying, really.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's what keeps us stuck, is the fear of this unknown. If I go outside of what I've been taught, what I believe, what's tangible, right? Then who am I? Exactly. What identity do I have? What is that going to mean for my income, my life, the industry, all of those things? But
I have to get out of my box. You have to get out of your box and make a bust out of it. And that's scary.
Well, of course it is, because we only want a couple of things really on a core level. One, to know that we're loved. Yeah. Two, to know that we're safe, because so many of us have been in situations where we're not safe. So we get that logical mind that can wrap our, mind around it. And we're like, okay, now I understand. This makes sense. I see results. And as a nurse, this was the hardest thing for me when I went through my healing was I perform an intervention. I expect a certain outcome. Yeah. And I had to let go of all of that. Like, it's not, healing is not up to me. It's not up to me to heal.
That's the thing. It's completely different. It's not in linear time. It's just, healing and treatment is so different, because when you're healing, it looks like, it's the perception of illness, isn't it, Jen? Because when we're crying and when we're releasing, that's healing. But when we see that in our conditioned society, oh, they're in pain, they're upset, let me make you better. No, but that's the thing. We are making ourselves better by doing those things, by doing the breath, the sounds, the crying, and, and it looks so different, doesn't it? Like actual healing looks very different to treatment. And that's how we need to get our minds around. But, we've had some quite in-depth conversations, and you said where your heart is and where you want to be. And you talked about, obviously, looking up at the moon and just having a real download and knowing that you had to become the awakened nurse. You wanted to kind of step fully into this. And, I'm so excited to have little angels like you in the industry, to be honest, Jen, because it really makes me feel good, because I bet there's loads of you out there and we need it. And that's what my next question is to you. With medicine right now, it feels like the mean boys on the hill have got a little bit big for their boots. And I know we have to be careful with this, because you're still actively working as a nurse, but you said you didn't mind speaking to it. What can we do? Where do we go from here with this enormous medical priesthood, which seems to just be taking over? And instead of becoming more inclusive and diverse, we're literally just going, we're not opening up to the quantum. We're like, bam, like this is it. This is medicine. This is God. Don't question it. All the censorship. How are you moving, and how are you questioning this? And what do you want for the future of medicine? What would you want? What would you like to see in the industry?
Yeah, well, thank you for asking that question, and I'm happy to speak on that. There's no topics that are off subject. I think we need to acknowledge the fact that what has worked in an old energy is not going to move us forward.
Absolutely.
And believe it or not, whether we see it or not, even though we see more of this pushing and forcing and what's happening to medical professionals as they're being pushed to their limits, and you see this mass exodus of people from the bedside and all of these things, there is, believe it or not, a transformation that is happening.
Oh, yeah.
However, sometimes, as we all know, things that have been built have to fall
Yes.
in order to build something new. We have to hold a space of belief and trust to know that everything that's happening is happening for a reason that we can't see right now.
Yeah.
But the ideal goal would be to
You're frozen.
enter things that we know. Why are we treating these chronic diseases by putting a Band-Aid over a bullet hole is what I like to say. We're not getting to the core of it.
Yeah.
So we need to reach out of our comfort zone, our box of beliefs, and really start to integrate. And you're seeing that more. There's hospitals that incorporate Reiki and acupuncture
Really?
and energy work. Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And not necessarily here where I live, but in some of the more diverse places like California and
Oh, really?
the more, yeah.
So
So
it's
it's
getting
coming.
there. It's coming.
Yeah, it's just remember that medical people are trained in scientific stuff.
Yes.
So we perform something, we expect to see a certain result. We do that with pharmaceuticals. Okay, it does this, it does that. But really, there's a balance in nature that we need to come to, because our ancestors, the ancients, they didn't have all these pharmaceutical things, right?
No.
There's actually a receptor in our body that extends to nature. All the things we
Exactly.
need are in nature. Now, you break a bone,
So
it's
yeah, it's
probably a
different.
good thing, right?
Yeah.
To go to the hospital, get it set, right? People would
I
not
just drag
survive.
myself out to the garden and I'm only joking.
Right.
No,
Right.
emergency medicine, great, perfect. Put people's face packs on, absolutely amazing,
Right.
It is.
It's just that's not the core issue of what
Exactly.
all this stuff is that people are dealing with. And I noticed it as an ICU nurse because I spent 7.5 years as an ICU nurse.
Okay.
So I didn't just deal with the patients, right, and their physiological crisis. I saw their families, their spouses, their children, all the dynamics, the patterns that went into that, the guilt, the resentment, that if I had only had one more moment to, and I started to recognize this within people, and I'm like, this is the manifestation of all this, cardiac diseases and broken heart, right? It's a very real thing, a broken heart syndrome, right?
Yeah, it really is. Get the old people, like, one of them dies and the other one dies like maybe like 2 weeks, a month later, literally of a broken heart, so sad.
Yeah. All of this stuff is energetic. And the sooner we come to realize that, and we stop trying to cover it up with a quick fix, because that's our society. We've been told, don't express it, don't feel it, because, nobody has time for that. Right. Yeah. But the more we allow these things to come through us, the more we allow ourselves to sit with it, feel it, express it. Like you said, if we need to cry or we need to beat our fist against a pillow, we need to feel it.
Yes. And that's why we're in such a position, because like you say, we've been told. I mean, we're not just talking about medicine here, we're just talking about all the systems that we've been living in that squash us down and just train us to we tell our kids, don't cry, stop it, da. We're told, we don't even know we're doing it. Like, we're total terrorists to our children. And but then our parents were total terrorists to us, trying to keep us in the box that they were kept in, and then that they were programmed with. And it just even comes down to the food we eat, Jen. It's like the medicine we have, the schools we go to. And this is what's being peeled back now, because I believe, we are in the age of Aquarius. All the old systems, this masculine energy, cannot survive in this new divine feminine energy. It cannot. So, when we're looking at the 3D, we're looking at what things going on. There's always pain. And if you're just looking at that, you're just seeing it. You're just seeing pain and trauma. But it's like you said, it's all a matter of perception. If you're seeing yourself moving through and being birthed, like coming out of that coming out of the chrysalis, and that's what we're all doing collectively, personally, collectively. And that's why, I've had so many amazing people come into my field, like you, and just people. Have you noticed this, Jen? Have you noticed just people are just aligning, at this time?
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's the gratitude that comes with it because, we have a mission, we have a purpose, we want to speak our truth, and we're trying to figure out how we're going to get there. And just, you say, God, I need a miracle, right? And they show up. So
really
it's just
do.
one more reinforcement of the fact of we're on the right path. We're on the, just keep trusting, keep believing,
It really
and
is.
don't get bogged down with these systems and structures
Keep your
because
energy in motion. Feel it,
they're
like
going to
Jenn said.
fight. They're going to fight, right? Because they're fighting. And, you have to think about it as a defense mechanism. When
Yeah.
they feel pushed, when they feel threatened, what do we do if we're backed into a corner? We fight, right? We fight harder, we push harder.
Yeah.
And so this energy just expels of fear and, more, more, more. And
Yeah.
we just have to stand there knowing that we have to allow it to be what it is, and we shine that light, not going to that place of projection, not feeding any more energy into it and fighting the system back like we have to push against it. We just have to be the light and shine it because we know where we're going.
Yeah.
They don't. They will if they choose, right? In this lifetime or another one. But it's not up to us to make those choices for people. It's for us to
No.
hold our space, do our own healing so that we can shine that light out to others to say it's safe to come with me. You're held in love and compassion here. There's no reason to judge yourself. There's no reason to be afraid. That's what we're healing.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that you say the masculine energy. And I love to talk about that because not many people understand that this yin and yang, right? Of
Yeah. Yeah.
masculine, feminine. But I truly believe that it's a rise of the feminine energy,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's really about bringing things back into balance.
This is the thing. We've had this strong masculine, which has been all the systems, all the all of that. It's like that energy of kind of aggression, testosterone, that kind of thing. So it's not about just, we have to bring them back into balance. That's the thing, that the feminine's rising, but it's not about that rising above that. We have to bring those energies back, collectively, because we've been living. I mean, people say this is going to be hell on earth. Like, okay, let's put it this way. There's going to be a lot of death. There's going to be a lot of darkness, a lot of death, and it's going to be pretty hideous. But what Jenn's saying and what I'm saying is to stay in the eye of the storm and see it for what it is. Hold space, hold compassion, hold love for those that are in fear that we may not agree with, or, we're all people, we're all one. And I've been triggered by things, Jenn, like, and we all are. And it's just been a constant place to just keep coming back, keep coming back.
Yes.
Stay in the heart, stay in your inner heart. It's just, there's no other way. So tell me, darling. Oh, excuse my voice.
Okay.
So you have a page called The Awakened Nurse, and that's on Facebook. Now, do you have, I'm not sure if you have a website yet, but I know you're getting all that together, aren't you?
No, actually, that was the first thing I put together. It's not perfect, but it's evolving. So it's www.theawakenednurse.com. It just goes a little bit more into what I do and how I serve and how I really want to help heal the hearts of humanity, because we are all worth it, no matter what you've been told, no matter what you've been through, the trauma that you've experienced. All of those things have brought us all to where we're at now, and we have choice to either continue to live and exist the way that we have, in pain and fear, and trying to live from this ego mentality of I want to just stay safe, so I'm going to avoid all of these things. Or do I really sit with those parts of myself, not relive them? One time going through that was enough, right? We don't need to relive it. We need to be the adult, the conscious, aware part of ourselves now that knows what we experienced. And we're going to have to go and grab the hand of that child who went through it and be the person we needed in those moments that we didn't have.
Yeah.
And that is the path to healing.
We
can't push it down. We can't push it down. We have to walk through
but
it.
eventually, this is what I've said. I was on drugs for like 30 years. I ran away from the abuse. I never healed from it because I just anesthetized myself on top. So after all that, at some point you have to feel the pain. At some point you don't have to, but you're going to get diseased and you're going to die, because everything comes from trauma. No matter what anyone says, everything is stored. If you haven't moved that emotion through, and I sat and I festered for so long, and I'm aware of that, and I've actually come to peace with whatever my soul contract is. Like, I plan to heal, Jenn, this, but I'm also okay if it's my time to go, because that's the thing. Because when we're not scared of death, when we're not running around terrified, we live in a different way because we appreciate everything. And that's what makes me feel so sad, just going back to the situation in the world, is, say if we are all going to die, why don't we enjoy our time when we're here? Will we like wrap ourselves up in bubble wrap and not see the people we love? So if we're all going to die, why aren't we living it up? Do you know what I mean? And we say, oh, transmissional. We know how virome works. Okay, people need sunshine, air, love. That's what keep people healthy. Good food,
True.
good thoughts.
And that's not what we've had, for many years, but we see that shifting and changing. People are looking at the planet. How can we take care of it?
Yeah.
And, I can remember when this virus first started and the things that came across Facebook just in, Venice, right? There were dolphins swimming in the channels of Venice again.
Oh, it was mad, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah. And it's like, we all went home and we decided what was important to us. Was the fear important to us? Was spending the time with our families, the love, giving those things back to them? I can go very esoteric into why all of this is happening.
Oh no, go for it. I mean, like, I'd love you to, because at the end of the day, I believe this is, we are having a collective night of the soul that we need to have, and there's just no way around it. However it's come about, it isn't just the physical, it's everything. We are multi-dimensional beings. But you tell me your take on it, my darling.
So to get very esoterical and very deep and spiritual, in a nutshell, on a very high level in spirit, believe it or not, we chose all of this.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And for those of us who are awake to that, it still brings up stuff because we see people suffering because of it, and we have compassion for them, right? But people have to make their choices.
That's the thing. You can't do it for you. It's arrogant. Oh, it's arrogant to think you can. I wanted to save people. Did you get from that place, that wounded healer kind of like, I want to put you on the right path? How arrogant. How do you know this is not my right path? I chose this. Like, you chose yours. I chose mine. This is our soul contract. We came here to help. We came
But we have to have allowance for people to do that in whatever way they're doing it. Yeah. And that's the thing. We so often see other people making choices that we wouldn't choose. And we want to point fingers and say, you're the problem and all of that. And the thing is we just have to let things be what they're going to be and make people, if they have to go through suffering to get where they need to go, that's their choice, because they're not there yet. It's their journey. It's not for us to fix. And as a nurse.
And we want to fix us, don't we? We want to fix us, because I found that the more I was looking at, when you actually come to a certain point of awareness, everything is you. Because if anything's bothering you outside of you, it's for you to look at. Like that. Absolutely. There is nothing else.
But it's easier to blame other people for all the things that are showing up in our life instead of really sitting with it. And it's not for us to blame or shame ourselves. It's for us to have the awareness of the fact of, I did this unconsciously. I didn't know what I know now. So can I instead of beating myself up and saying, oh, Jen, you were so stupid to think that, or,
like
those
we do.
Words.
Yeah, we like to do that, don't we?
It's very human. And as you said before, it's not because we were born that way. No. It's because we were conditioned and taught that way, because we observed our parents or the people who raised us, society, school age, all of those things have contributed to, well, don't let me share this, right? Because I'm going to be judged. Exactly. I'm going to be outcast, all of those things. And we live in this state of fear, always thinking, well, all my validation of my self-worth comes from outside of me.
Exactly.
But actually, it never actually has. It's always come from within us.
This is the thing, Jen. Everything that we've witnessed, everything you're talking about, is everything that is true, that is real, and people who are waking up now, the whole world's inverted. Like, everything that really is truth is nothing to do with what we've been taught about anything. And then the more this is becoming very clear to people, and this is why we have some people just walking around like us. We're all our own paths. We're just accepting it or not accepting it, or just watching it go by, or fighting against it. If you're fighting against something, you're feeding that energy. Don't fight. Stand, plant your feet firmly, be grounded, stand in truth and passion. Don't fight. They have bigger weapons.
Well,
Why?
the biggest weapon we have is our energy, an
Yes.
energetic, that vibration of love and compassion. We may not
Excellent.
agree. We may not make the same choice for ourselves, and that's okay. But if we engage in that behavior and we go back and forth, feeding more and more energy into it, the
Just get
thing people
lost.
don't realize is you're just contributing to more
Yeah.
of the same thing that you're fighting against.
Exactly. And that's what people want too, because you might think you're doing something different, but you're not. You're just feeding that old energy. You're just feeding the old system. Even though you're kind of like on the other side, it's still that duality. You're still fighting. You're not bringing it into. And this is like a whole long path. And, since isn't it just, since I got really ill, it was really the greatest gift, because it's like you've been through your shizzle. We've all been through our shizzle, but like, when the chips are down and things are bad, that's when you really start seeing things with new eyes. Because when you have wasted life, well, it's not a waste because it's all an experience. When I don't think in those ways anymore. But when you actually see your demise in front of you, and well, sometimes I used to lay there and program myself and kind of like think, and like I think I literally programmed myself with death. I really do, from a child, because I always felt comfort. When I went to the nurse, I was looked after. So I think I liked being ill, because I felt comfort. My grandma would tuck me up, and it's really funny when you trace back to, where does this perception of illness come from? Why do we think we're deficient from the day we're ill, we're like decrepit, we're dying? But it's so opposite. We're just luminous. Like, if we actually knew who we were,
Yes.
we're
Yeah.
luminous.
And it's no coincidence to say those things that you're saying, because the truth is, again, all we really want is to know we're safe and we're loved. So
Yeah.
if we didn't get that from the people that we believed
Yeah.
were going to give that to us, then we're going to create things in our reality to bring those things to us so that we can have that security, that safety. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
We are aware of the fact that that is a pattern that we chose unconsciously to get and draw those things that really our soul was aching for from someone outside of us. And, as children, we don't have choice over the things that happen to us. Other people make choices that affect us, that we carry this energetic residue with us, and it shapes our reality. So
Yeah.
healing has to come from the awareness that all of this stuff existed. We don't beat ourselves up. We don't blame ourselves. We don't shame ourselves, because the truth is, if we can hold compassion for ourselves in those places of unconsciousness, then we actually can hold it for those people that we feel that we were victimized by as well, because
Yes. And
they
people.
were just
Sorry.
acting from the same place of wounding that they were unconscious of. Doesn't make it right.
No.
Doesn't mean we wouldn't want a different situation. But perhaps, I believe, we chose our parents and the people we were born into before we got here. Now, let me add some context to that, because
Yeah.
that's very hard for people to understand.
Oh,
Like,
I
what?
know. People are going to be like, no, I wouldn't have chosen to be abused. What are you talking about? I, I know what you're saying. People can't believe that they would choose that.
But we didn't choose to be abused. We chose our parents in spirit, in contract with them before we got here, knowing full well that the potentials for those things existed. But once we get in the body, free will takes over. We cannot interfere with that, because that's the thing. We have to realize that we have a superhuman power, conscious choice.
Exactly.
But as a child, we didn't make those choices. The people outside of us, in their wounding, in their unconscious, their conditioning, their boxes of belief, their own pain, made choices that affected us. But that's the balance that we have to have, is when we can know that about ourselves and look at things we've, like, you said you did drugs for 30 years. Okay. You were just simply trying to escape the pain.
Oh,
That's all
absolutely.
addiction is. That's
And do you
all
know what? I
addiction.
wish when I've come to awareness now, I'm like, wow, I wish I'd just faced that pain. That would have been a good idea. But the thing is, that wasn't the path. I had to go through that. And often what's said, a lot of light workers are actually go into families that are where there is a lot of abuse and stuff, because in a way you've chosen that to be forged in pain, like to be forged so nothing can phase you, to kind of live a life of pain and destruction.
We're unshakable when we go through this.
Exactly.
2.5 years ago, I probably would have been like, that's crazy, right? But now I can sit here and say, it really is true. There's people can throw words and insults at me, and I'm gay. So that is not something that in society has really been valued. There's been a lot of
Not
judgment on
really.
it. Um,
Just a
it's
bit.
getting better. People are living and letting, love whoever you want. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because people are going, it doesn't bother me. I see the
Exactly.
person
It's
that
none
you
of the,
are,
this is
and
the
it's
thing. It's none of our business. Nothing is any of our. We've made so much, like as society, of making other people's business our business, and really, quite simply, let's worry about our own garden. Yeah, let's worry about like what makes us good, what makes us happy, because the world would be so much better if we were literally just focusing on ourselves. But it's difficult. We're human. We have reactions. We're triggered. We got judgments. If we could just wipe out judgments, can you imagine?
oh no, yeah. I did a whole video last week on my Facebook page
Ooh,
all about judgments, right? So
go back and
why
watch
do we
that.
judge? And the thing is that again, we would rather judge other people outside of ourselves than
Yeah.
really doing that work you're talking about, because the truth is we're actually just judging ourselves.
Yeah, we can't bear to see it though. We cannot bear to see it. And like
No.
we can talk about that, when you've been through it and you've come out with some awareness, and it's really interesting. Like my mum, I can see a lot of bits from my mum from me, but when you're looking at someone, they just cannot see what they're like at all. They won't admit anything they've done and then she quite frankly can't see it. So you can't be angry because she literally cannot see what she's being like, or she kind of like can't see it at all. And when that's what we get like, isn't it? We're oblivious to what we're doing. Nah, it's everyone else. What's wrong with
Right.
you? I mean, God, I've been like that. We all have, haven't we?
Sure. Yeah. And and again, that's what healing from the inside out does. Is it's not comfortable,
No,
but that's what we've tried to have all of our life. Is I just want to
we
stay in the
don't need the
safety.
comfortable anymore, do we? This is the problem why we're in the state, because we've had the
Exactly.
unconscious comfortability where we're just fast food cured, don't want to make any effort, feed me McDonald's all day. Oh no, I got ill, can I have a pill? Like, I don't
Right.
need to make any. And this is the thing with health. It's like we've been led around, well, with everything we've been led around like children, and now it's time for us to grow up. Me, you, all of us, the whole world, the whole earth.
Yes.
We need to grow up in our cosmic nature, because we are kind of walking around with our hands up. Please, please help us. We're not small. We're not small.
No.
Yeah, we learn how to be small, but we're everything.
We're kept small. We're told, because I mean, if you think about it, you have these ideas as kids, these dreams, and I'm going to do this, and people tell us that's not possible. That's
Yeah,
never, well, you better go to college, you better work really hard, you better get, and we're constantly fed this stuff of you're not enough, that'll
yeah,
never happen, it's not possible. And so we are taught to stay small, to stay, and this is
exactly.
thousands of years. This is our entire, you know, but I want to invite everyone to really think that if you're having this awakening right now and you're feeling alone and, what's happening to me, there's a bigger plan. And
Yeah,
perhaps in spirit, we chose to be the person that was going to stand in our light and stand in our truth, do the work on ourselves, because believe it or not, as you know, we're all connected. So what you heal within you heal within me. What I heal within me, I heal within you. And all the way back to the beginning of time, all these memories,
exactly.
suffering that's been created, the more I ask for clearing from within me of all of this suffering, I'm clearing it and assisting in that in all of humanity, all the way back to the beginning of time, because none of us are disconnected. It's
No,
just
we're
this
all
belief.
coming from this, source. So we are
Yes.
expressions, we are fractals of God, all of us. So,
Yes.
and this is the thing, and that's really empowering to what you just said, Jen. When we talk to like, oh, don't be selfish. Self-love is selfish. No, it's the most
No.
important things, because when we do clear these things, when we do the work on ourselves, like Jen says, we lift the frequency for everyone. When we
Yep.
go to those dark places in ourselves that we haven't wanted to see, that we've run away from, when we have that pain, we cry, we toss and turn, we whatever we need to do, to move that through. We clear ourselves and we lift the collective.
And
Oh,
that's
I
what we're
love you
here
so
for.
much, Jen. You know
Because
what?
I love you too.
It's such a pleasure talking to you. Honestly, I could go on. We've gone for 37 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up in a sec. But I mean, please, I would love to have you back on maybe like a monthly segment or something, because yeah, I just really, really love that.
Whatever you want to talk about, I am dedicated to helping shine this light that exists within every single one of us. You are
And
not
I'm
small.
dedicated to champion you, and we are not small, because when I find beautiful souls in the world, and we are all finding each other now, like we are all finding each other.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's so incredible. You don't even have to do anything. You're just literally, because what you're vibrating at, you know, what you're putting out, what you have in your heart, you're just calling people to you, because we have work to do. We have work
Yes,
for
ma'am.
ourselves to do. We have to stand, and there's a lot of stuff to do, Jen, isn't there? And like the work is to work on ourselves, but we have to build infrastructures. We have to change systems. They will change anyway, but we need to put nurses like Jen in every single hospital. All right. It's the law.
They're already there. They're already there. They just are stuck in their pain. And that's the hardest thing, I think, is being in the state of awareness that I'm in and walking around these hospitals and watching these wounded healers who are being asked to give compassionate care to all these other people who are suffering. But the thing is we so often forget they're humans too.
Yeah.
They've experienced their own trauma, their own grief, they're suffering with these things. And yet, what are we doing for them?
That's it. Yeah.
You know, so that's really my mission, is just not to say I'm in one niche, because all of us are deserving. I think I'm uniquely qualified to speak to their certain struggles because I've been in it. I remember what it was like. There's no judgment for them where they're at. I just see it. And as a energetic, empathic healer, I don't just see it, I feel it all.
Yeah.
So
that can be I mean, walking when you're an empath and you're an intuitive healer, like that's tough, because I find it very difficult to go out like and be around. And you work in a hospital, just like suck that pain up.
I will tell you though that I am so grateful for the choice that I made back in 2019 to really start. I asked for help, right? Because I was drowning in my own pain, smoking, 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Yes, I'm a nurse. I know it's not good for you, right?
I see loads of doctors smoking, but like it's an addiction thing. It's funny because people, doctors shouldn't smoke. Well, they're humans too. They get addicted.
It's covering up the guilt, the pain, all of those things of not being good enough. And I finally reached out for help, because most of us think we can just do it on our own. We read a book. Okay, I got it. And I'm very intellectual, but I'm also very woo-woo. But I blend the two very nicely, right? Yeah. I know it's
bring it all together. Yeah, a bit of woo-woo, intellect, heart. This is the thing. We've all been so separate. Like it doesn't have to be one thing. We can be all of it. Why not? Why not?
Balance. It's just the judgments that we fear from other people. And I'll tell you right now, it doesn't mean that I don't get triggered by things, but I understand what it is when it comes in. And I get to choose how I receive it. Do I let it affect my self-worth and my knowing of who I am and my power that I step into? Or I just see it as someone projecting their own wounds onto me, because in some way, my light is threatening them.
That's the thing. And that's what people need to remember. Don't be upset if you're going about your day, you're shining bright and you're doing your thing, because if people aren't in that level of consciousness, or they're not feeling that, unfortunately, what happens is you can get a lot of negativity, because you're not shining too bright, but it triggers people because it shines on their dark more, if you see what I mean.
Oh yeah.
And it makes them realize their own stuff, and then so it's just then we do it, and then we project, and that's it. But
I'll leave you guys with this. Remember that darkness is just the absence of the light. So it's going to do everything it can to protect itself in its safe box. And so when we shine that light, the first defense mechanism is to push it away, to judge it, to shame it, to point fingers, to call it names. But that's only a mirror of what's within that person. They just want more than nothing to have what you have, but they don't believe it's possible, because they don't
believe they're worthy enough.
Exactly.
And that's what it is. We just, for the longest time, and I don't feel I'm working on it, but like that's a hard thing to feel worthy, because we're taught just from day dot that we're not. And this is all of us. It doesn't matter if you've been abused or beaten or just a childhood. I mean, we all have trauma in childhood, because even the most small, seemingly insignificant things, like that, the time when your mum told you weren't dancing right, and then it goes in and like, you have that kind of core
Oh
wound.
yeah.
It's everything. We need to
Or
start loving
even
ourselves.
doctrine, even the things that, religion teaches us, you're not good, right? God's not going to love
The
you.
sinner first,
Right. And that was one of the things that, I sat with was when I came out, right? I was raised very in a religious
Were
household.
you?
My,
How
my
was that
parents
for
left.
you then?
My,
How was that?
oh, it was terrifying. It was terrifying sitting with the truth of, I'm different. I know I have these feelings, but I also know that I'm going to be judged very harshly because of what
Oh
I've been
yeah,
taught. There's
very
a lot
hard.
of fear, right? And my parents did the best they could from the awareness that they were in. Now they chose love. They didn't know how it was going to happen. They didn't know how we were going to get there. Was it confusing? What is everybody else going to? Yeah, absolutely. But I realized that by me choosing to come into this life with this potential of who I am, the healing that actually has occurred for so many other people who chose love, not fear.
Yes.
They don't necessarily accept my lifestyle. They don't have to.
No.
It's not about them accepting me. It's about me accepting me and
Yes.
letting them be where they're at. I have a great relationship with my parents, right? My grandmother, before she died, stood up in a Sunday school class and said, if you're going to teach this, I'm not going to resonate with this. I'm leaving because I love my granddaughter more than whatever this stuff
Oh,
is
were
that
they
you're teaching.
talking about being gay?
Yeah, you shouldn't associate with those people. It's
What, in
sinful. And she
Sunday
stood up.
school they were saying that to kids? Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, not in kids, but the
Yeah, yeah.
the
Just
adults
saying to the
have their
church.
own class.
That's the thing. What
It's
I don't
just
understand, Jen. That's what I always said. I went to church once, but I consider myself, I do a lot of spiritual practice every day, and I'm lined up now, working for the light, baby. But it's just really interesting, because I was really confused by church and religion, and I felt very separate from it. And now I understand now why I didn't feel that. And this is not to say church people aren't good. It's just,
right.
the system of religion also teaches you it's outside of you. God is outside of you. You have to pray to this, come to this man, and he's kind of like the intermediary. You can get to God. But Jesus said, lift a stone and I am there. Like the kingdom is within us. It's within us.
Yes. And so many of his words, right? And he's a great master who came here with one purpose only, which is to show us the way,
Yeah.
which was within, right? Knock and he'll answer, right? Because there's no one outside of us who's coming to save us. Believe it or not,
We
we
have
have
to
to
know that.
choose
We have to
to
know
go
that.
with it. Yeah, Christ consciousness is who we all are because we're not disconnected.
No.
But these centuries of doctrine and dogma and fear, I'm not judging it. I'm just saying it's what it has been. And we're seeing the shift because my church is nature. My
Yeah.
church is
I love
everywhere.
that. I say that all the time. That literally it is. It's everywhere. That's my church too.
Yeah. We're just not taught it. And that's okay. People are just in fear because they've been taught if you don't do this and you don't do that and you don't do this and you're bad, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Your salvation is not. And I'm like, death and birth is just a door. It's just a door from one place
Exactly.
to the next. We know that. It's not our job to tell other people they're
No.
wrong. It's just to hold a place of love and compassion for them
And the thing
exactly
is,
where
there
they're
is
at.
no wrong, is there? And there is no,
No.
when you come to a point of awareness, there is no wrong or right. There's things that like kind of are distasteful, but it's what we put onto it to make it bad, good,
Labels, containers, and that has been the way that we, for all of our life in this 3D form, have come to understand things.
Yeah, because
Right?
it's
We
bite
have to.
size. If you think about the quantum, how's my little human mind? And because we've been so conditioned, like it's easy. We want little bite-sized pieces. Oh, okay, that's manageable. Oh, that's what happens there. And and that's the thing in the 3D reality, isn't it, Jen? Like we need to make it nice and easy so we can understand what's happening.
Well, it goes back to survivalistic. And this is the thing is that when we were cave people, right, in our, prehistoric form, fear was a mechanism of survival.
Yeah.
The
It was
issue
useful
is,
then. It was useful then, like when we were
absolutely,
running away from saber-toothed tigers, but we're in fear 24/7 now.
yes. And this is the issue with chronic diseases of inflammation.
Yeah.
Because if we're constantly living in this stress response, right, we haven't calmed our nervous system, then all these conditions, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, all of these things are just inflammatory disorders
Literally.
based off of a stress response that we live in. And so, how do we quiet that? How do we bring ourselves back into balance and find that oneness of love and safety? We have to go within and do the work. And
Yeah.
again, like you said, people would rather just take a pill, but just in my
Only because
37
that's what
years,
they've been taught, because I don't people are not deficient in intelligence, they're deficient in freedom. And like because we've been taught that we have no choice and this is just the way it is. And now people are
yeah,
discovering now I actually have all the choice. I'm a sovereign soul. I have anything. I'll go and sleep in a tent. I'll do anything to keep my
yeah.
sovereign soul. You
People are
know?
more willing to do that, but these are also the systems we set up, this 40-hour work week where we don't have time, right? We're players of convenience because we got to go to work to make money, to be able to do this, to do that, and it's
Yeah.
this
It's all a
everyday hitting
machine, isn't it? It's
feedback.
like we're just on that bloody wheel and we don't have enough time to go in because when do you have time to go in? Now I've got to do the dinner for the kids. I've come back from
Mhm.
work. Oh yeah, I'll just sit down and meditate for half an hour quickly. We don't place any value on it
And we
because
feel guilty about doing that.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
taking time for ourselves, I should be giving more of myself to
Yeah.
somebody else, but
But we've
it
been
goes
taught
back.
that it's selfish. What are you doing, you selfish person? Like that's the thing. But what I've found is what did someone say the other day, which I thought was quite good? You don't meditate to become good at meditating. You meditate to become good at life. Because when you're coming from that calm place, you have clarity. You can not be triggered. You can be in response, not reaction. And so it's essential you're plugging yourself in and charging yourself, like
Yes.
literally, to source. We need to do this. We really
Well, we
do.
wouldn't let our cell phones die. This is the greatest, I guess, it's like the simple meme I saw, right? But it was like, we don't let our cell phones get depleted. We'll plug them in and recharge them, but we don't do that with ourselves.
We
And it
don't.
all comes back to, I got to give more to everybody else to validate
And then
my
I'm a good
self-worth that I'm
person.
enough.
Yeah.
And the thing is it doesn't matter how much we do for
No.
other people, as long as we are not sitting with ourselves and knowing our worth to begin with, we're
Yeah.
going to constantly seek that from outside of us and it's never going to fill us up. We're always going to feel like we have to do more. And that's
Mm.
okay. It's okay. We just have to recognize, okay, that was a place where I was. I'm going to grab a hold of her and I'm going to love the hell out of her, right? Because she's worthy of it and she's always been.
Yeah.
But we got to be willing to go there. And it just means taking a step, right? And we don't know how to get there by ourselves.
Mm.
And we're not supposed to. That's why all of us are waking up now and we're holding our hand out and saying, I can show you the way, not do it for you, but I can
That's the
show you the
thing.
way.
No one can do it for us. No one can heal for us.
Nope.
Like we go to healers and we think they're going to lay their hands. And I did it first, and you do it for yourself.
Yep.
There's no other way. And if you hold on to the density and you hold on to this and we don't choose to look at it and shift it, we can't move up. We can't we're stuck in density. We're not going to be we're not going to be ascending or kind of stepping into our quantum possibilities. And this is what it's about. We're talking to Jen
Yeah.
about the rising feminine and then being able to balance it and just there's so many things going on in the world. Like you said, it's the metaphysical, the physical, the technological. We're
Yes.
turning back to our organic nature. This is for me. This is what this has all been about. I started writing different things about 3 years ago, and it's all been coming to this time. I've been waiting for this. I've been here so many times. You probably have too, and I feel like it's happening now. Finally, we get to kind of go back to
Oh,
our
yeah.
natural selves. It's been such a long
Hold the
time.
space. Hold
Yeah,
the space. And just, don't get discouraged if you're on this journey and you're doing the work and things inevitably are going to come up. It's just the layers that are just, healing is not linear. And
no,
if we continue to look at it that way, I go to a healer, they put my hands on me and boom, everything magic
yeah,
wand,
all
I'm
done.
better. It's not.
Excellent. Wouldn't that be nice? Well,
It's
it wouldn't be
not.
nice actually, no, because it's not the
But
way.
what is that teaching us? What is that teaching us? It's teaching us that we have to invest in ourselves,
Yeah,
not just put a band-aid over a bullet hole again. We have to continue to come back to the same place, a different layer, and we have the tools, right? Once we start to do the work, we start to know our worth, we have the tools that when that stuff shows up, which it's going to, because
Yeah.
we have eons, right? Other lifetimes, other galactic
So
experiences
much.
where all it's happened.
Yeah.
We have to be able to start where we're at, because that's enough. And you just take a step. And, you know, people like you and myself and other people along the collective who are on a different place on the same path, we're all on.
Yeah.
We're
We're
just
just at
reaching a
different
hand back.
versions of it, aren't we? Like, you know, it's nothing about right or wrong or anything. We're just at different levels of consciousness, and we're all going to get there. It's just that we're just
Yes.
at different levels, and there's no hierarchy and there's no judgment. And it's difficult to be a human and have people doing triggering things that are like, that's the work. It doesn't
Yeah.
help. You know, people say to me about that, you know, when we talk about forgiveness, Jen, or getting angry, yes, we do get triggered. Yes, we do get things. But the thing is, it's the holding on to it that makes us ill. You know, we can see it and go, ah, that really pissed me off. Okay, I'm going to like, you know, let's just move that through. It's when you sit and you fester with it. And like, you know, I forgave my dad who abused me. I forgive, you know, I forgive it. I freely forgive, because to not do that, it makes me ill.
Yes.
It makes me feel bad. So I've got to bless the situation, forgive it, but not bypass it. See that it annoyed you. Like, don't kind of put false positivity on stuff, because that is no good.
Oh, no.
That's no
Thinking
good.
thinking positive is a great place to start. But if we're just layering that over top of all the stuff we're not
Same
willing
as
to sit
drugs,
with,
isn't it? It's literally the same as kind of putting
it's
drugs on it,
it's
really.
escapism. It's escapism, and it's, you know, and I love self-help books. I'm grateful for all of those, but I really teach that we have to deal with the beliefs, the
Yeah.
thoughts, the emotions, and then the actions that are spurred from them, because they all reinforce the same wheel. It's all energy.
Yeah.
We can't escape it. We have to be with it, and that's uncomfortable, but that's okay, right? Look at all the things you've been
Life was
through.
not supposed to be. We come in like people that, oh, it's not fair. So this, did anyone actually tell us that life was not going to be any challenges, or we weren't going to have any pain? Like, why are we so surprised? It's like, this is the path we're on. Like, we've chosen it, we're living it. And if we don't like it, and this is what I really realized, I never thought I could change things. But you know, when you come to a certain point and you wake up and you're like, damn, everything that's happening, I'm responsible for. And that's a kicker to first get used to. Like, I'm responsible. No matter what, I'm responsible. Literally.
Yeah,
And it's
that's hard for
hard.
people to understand,
Very
and
hard.
because it triggers them. How I wouldn't have. It's not about. It's about the potentials that are
Yeah.
created based on what we choose to believe, what we choose to think about ourselves,
And
about the
what we haven't
world.
moved in our energy field too, from past, that we're
Yes,
just unconsciously attracting kind of the
it's
same
all
things.
showing up. And people say, "Why does it keep happening over and over again?" I say, because it's wanting you to choose to make a different choice,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
then
that's
until
why
it
it keeps
screams
showing
in
up.
your face, like it literally, and if you keep ignoring it, just like, you know, with health, with anything, you ignore that thing and it's just going to keep slapping you over until you go, hang on a minute, I've had the same relationship like 20 times. Hang on, do I need to look at something here? You know,
Right.
what do I need to
It's
do?
easier to blame outside of ourselves,
So much
because
easier.
that
I
was
was
what
so
was
good at that.
modeled. And that's okay, but you can choose to love yourself now and not beat yourself up for it.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
you know, I sit here and speak like I'm not a guru. Okay. I've just gone through this. And I've seen it from my career. Right. And I want to help people because I chose to be a nurse for a reason.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
chose to be an educator for a reason. In the time, had no freaking clue why I was teaching, like learning how to be a teacher.
Yeah.
But now all that stuff comes up and I'm like, oh, this is my path. This is my purpose as a way shower, as an intuitive empathic healer.
We
Like,
don't need gurus though, do we? Like you say, I'm not a guru, but the thing is, I don't, that's old paradigm. We're
yeah,
all, we're moving from the me to the we, and like we're all teachers and we're all learning, and
the
we'll be in
teacher
a
is
lot
the
better place.
student. Yep.
Exactly.
And so you're
Absolutely.
right. Your gurus are that thing again, looking outside of ourselves to like, oh, let me follow this person
They're
because
going to tell
they're
me
going to
what's
teach me
right. And
everything.
yeah,
No,
we
I'm going to
can't
show you
have
how to
that.
find it within yourself, because it's all there. It's just, do we make a choice to go within, sit with those feelings that were uncomfortable, those painful experiences that we carry with us in ourselves?
Mm.
And that's the thing. So many people go around walking through life, and it's not until something that threatens their mortality,
Yeah.
right? Oh my God, I get a physical illness. Now I have to make a change in my life that wakes them up. Does it need to be that way?
It's very sad
No.
that we have to, this is a thing, and it's so true. It's so true because we wait till we get slapped down with health or with some like horrendous situation that because we've not, and we always, this is the thing, we as humans, we wait until we're like literally screamed at, knocked over. And it doesn't have to be like that. And it all starts, we're going to wrap it up soon. It's good to be going for an hour.
Yeah.
We will talk again, but we need to
I can
train
talk to
kids.
you for hours.
I know. I could talk to, I do talk to myself. I'm only joking. I could talk to you for hours too, darling. I really appreciate you coming on. Would you like to
Yeah,
just say,
absolutely.
thank you so much. Would you like to just kind of say any projects you've got coming on, or just do a shout out, or anyone you want to kind of pull into your field that will help you with your work or anything like that?
Well, you're already here. So,
Ah.
and I'm grateful to you. So, I want people to know that it doesn't matter what you've been through. If you're still here, there's a reason, there's a purpose for all of the things that have showed up in your life. And it's up to you to make a decision and a choice to take back your power that you unconsciously gave to other people. No reason to blame yourself, no reason to shame yourself. I invite you to see every opportunity, every experience that you go through is simply a choice to either love yourself more or less. What do you choose? Because you've been worthy of it always. You were created in the divine light and love sent forth. How could you be anything less than that?
Oh, that's so beautiful, darling. That really is beautiful, and you just summed it up absolutely beautifully. Choose fear or love. We always have free will. Always. Don't let anyone tell you don't. Hey, listen, darling, thank you so much for coming and like sharing your wisdom words and just being the beautiful
Absolutely.
light that you are and being out there and working and changing things. So if you want to contact Jen, I'll put her details. Reach out to her. She's an amazing soul, and I can see her doing huge things in the future. She's doing huge things now, but I can just see lots of things coming to her.
And we're going to do it together.
We are.
Right?
We're all doing it together. We're all doing it
Yes.
together. Listen, the awakened nurse, Mrs. Jen, or Ms, or whatever you say, Jen Evers. So much
Thank
love,
you so
darling.
much.
And thank you
Yes.
so much. Thank you so much for listening. And please like, comment, and subscribe on Zero to Freedom, or just show some love on my page or the podcast. So thank you. And whoever you are, wherever you are, I love you. You should love yourself.